He's immortal. Born in the highlands of Scotland 400 years ago.
No, we're not talking about Highlander. We're talking about big men, giants. It's gonna be big. Big old ancient giants.
Welcome to Nope, the show where I get together with a couple of my buddies to look up some fun myths or philosophies, or not really philosophies, myths, cryptozoology, and ghosts. And I try to see and try to see if I can make these skeptical individuals believe something existed.
Nope.
What do you mean I haven't convinced you of anything? Hold on, I have my notes on the rush screen. Okay, so
Yeah.
what do you guys know about giants? Or as Sal likes to put it, big men.
Just big men.
I know that they used to exist, and then they fell asleep, and that's how we got mountains.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, that's how it
Mountains are giants that have fallen asleep, but they are still asleep, and so.
Have you
Dig
never
deep
scrolled
enough, you
through
will
Twitter?
find bones.
If you scroll on Twitter, you see like a bunch of mountain ranges that vaguely look like women asleep, and people are like, God is real.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Everything. They absolutely do that.
We got the
Googling.
devil's backbone
Okay.
over here. We
Hold
got
on,
the
I'm just-
devil's
I'm just
thumb.
gonna say,
I'm just saying.
I don't. Oh my God, you're not lying. Okay, this
I'm
was
not.
not in my research. We're taking a different path here. I found the image he's talking about. We're gonna put it up on the screen right here.
Please.
Let's see this.
Yeah, no, this is exactly.
Okay, that is really weird.
That's
There
like
are
a
also
snow version of.
The face on Mars. We're just seeing things
Yeah.
that
Oh,
aren't
I was
there.
thinking Moana. Like,
Oh.
you know, the giant
That's
sea
Te
creatures.
No, my
That's
first question
Tafiti.
is this a mountain range? My second question is, are we just seeing a naked woman because we're all horny men? My third question is,
I mean, is this
photoshopped in any way? Right, like,
Right.
You know, it doesn't look to be photoshopped, but it also.
It has
I mean,
to be. Look at the feet.
Look
Look
at
at
the
the
butt.
feet and tell me that's not photoshopped.
Dan casually admitting right here he's a feet guy. That's where your eyes went first, Dan.
Right?
No,
Ass
that's
man,
where my eyes
sorry.
went last to go, wait a second. What the hell? That's an actual ankle.
Yeah.
that's an act. But see, it's just the way the snow is hitting.
Look at her calves.
That's
It's an unrealistic mountain standard.
Unrealistic mountain standard.
This proves it unequivocally.
The anatomy, as someone who does a lot of anatomy sketches, this anatomy's really spot on too.
And it's not the same kind of mountain as the rest of the mountain range. Like, it's darker. No. The
And
lighting
that's why
doesn't
the
fit.
Lord,
No.
Dan,
let's see
it's
what
the
this says.
Lord's beauty. It's the Lord's grace. I just think you're too much of a skeptic.
It's true.
Exactly. Digitally created photo shared as a clip. There you go. Digitally
There you
created.
go. See?
False. Okay.
Thank
Not
you.
not the direction my giant talk was going, but I do like
No.
the direction this has gone. I'm just
Me
saying.
too.
So anyway,
Because we got to see a hot mountain today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Pretty sweet.
This wasn't just about big men, but also big women.
Oh yeah,
Big
Brittany,
Good
send me
for
that link.
equality here.
okay. So what do we actually know about giants? They're not actually digitally recreated photographs, Dan.
No.
No,
I-
but
we-
they are
you know,
mountains that fell asleep.
Yeah, they're in all of our myths. You know, there's giants, there's golems. There's the most famous one I think is David and Goliath. You know, they're in our history. The idea of like there being creatures that look like us, but they're much bigger. So there's
I want to throw out. We do these episodes live, and we just got the best pun ever.
Yeah.
From one of our chat, Lord Soul commented, "Now I'm rock hard."
Boom.
I've had it with you guys. So
I will never be funnier than some
when
comment.
when I was a kid, I was what do you call it? We had a lot of these like email chains or whatever that I would be on,
yeah.
and they used to be so factual, and they would often show that like they never posed it as like giants or mythical creatures. It was that like human beings used to be much larger back in the day, and it would be like a giant skeleton and like a human, like a regular person standing and being like the size of their femur. And I fully believed that as a kid.
Right. That's why all the doorways from the 30s are much slower than they are now, because people used to be much bigger.
Okay, so there are several Native American tribes that have passed down legends of a race of white giants that were wiped out. Okay, and there's a book, which I did not buy because I felt like I'd be wasting $10 because I could find nothing from this book anywhere else on the internet
Okay.
that claims the Smithsonian has been hiding the evidence of this ancient race of white giants.
I mean, obviously.
Yes,
Only
the
makes sense.
Smithsonian, an institution of facts and science, is deliberately obscuring fascinating information that would result in hundreds more people going to their institutions.
Now, I want to state if you look up ancient giants, there's a lot of stuff from biblical era. There's an Nephilim, stuff like that. We're actually not touching on that. That's going to be a separate video. What I'm actually looking at is the existence of an ancient race of white giants in our own past, which, so the Comanches, the chief rolling thunder of the Comanches, a tribe from the Great Plains, gave the following account of an ancient race of white giants in 1857. So we have historical records from these ancient tribes who are talking about things from the 1800s to the 1900s, and then giants have seemingly disappeared. What do you guys think of that before I go deeper into this?
No.
Wait,
No?
sorry, say that again?
Yeah, I feel.
We have records from the 1800s into the early 1900s of giants. Okay?
What kind of records?
They're basically stories passed down amongst Native American tribes.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
And
I
then
don't.
we have photos, which I'm going to get to. Okay, photos that start when photography was first being invented, they were getting photographs of these skeletons and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so they found skeletons.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have the myths from the ancient tribes, the Native
Right.
American tribes, and then we have skeletons that have been found and documented at the
confirm it.
Smithsonian. So,
Interesting.
Okay.
so it goes through. We have Navajo. We have Manta. I'm probably going to mispronounce some of these because if they're not like a in normal culture tribe, I'm not going to know some of these.
Right.
But the Paiutes, Puatis tribe, they've got their own stories about an ancient race of white giants that existed, things like that. And then we go down to here. Miners unearthed artifacts in 1912, leaving them in a pile before eventually contacting the University of California. Anthropologist Something Loud traveled from the university to the site to investigate and commonly agreed that the excavation of the site was not handled well and certainly not up to modern standards. But some proponents of their giants theory state that the researchers deliberately covered up the giant remains found there.
Why?
Yeah.
So we have skeletons, we have myths and legends from the tribes.
Yeah.
What do you guys think these giants are? Just based on what we have so far, because obviously I'm going to go deeper into this.
I mean, before you
bad
said
archaeology.
skeletons, clouds that looked like the shape of people.
Dan, you're being a skeptic. The world had magic before now. Okay.
Hey, who
They
said
all got on
clouds
the
aren't
boat. They went to
magic?
the Undying Lands.
The rise
Just
of
saying.
technology led to the death of magic, and I think you're overlooking that fact. Men were more powerful. They were bigger. And the Native American tribes, they were here long before the white man decided to plunder the magic from the world. So
Yeah.
I think this is real. I think we're onto something. I want to hear more.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So what I have next for you is a chart that shows where all of the giant sightings in the United States have been located.
Okay.
All right. So that's a lot of sightings, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trust me, this is all going somewhere. Anyway, that's a lot of sightings, isn't it?
That's a lot of purple flags. What Okay, so wait, I'm sorry. When did they make these discoveries? This is like over the last from yesterday to 1,000 years ago or what?
1800s to now.
Okay.
So about mid 1800s is when we started getting the legends and stuff like that and started getting word that this stuff existed.
Yeah, I see.
Okay. So this is also on the website with the photos. So here we go.
Whose map is this? What website is this?
ancientorigins.net. So
That's a really credible site, guys. Like we're laughing at it, but they
Oh,
do
yeah.
their research.
So right here we've got the old articles that used to come out. Lost City
Okay.
of Giants, Skeleton of a Giant found at Juniper, Find Man of Stone Age. I love the grammar on that one.
Yeah.
Smithsonian gets a huge Indian skull. So, I mean, there's a lot of evidence that is stating that we have these giants, right?
Right.
Right.
I just want to point out really quickly that ancientorigins.com is available.
Well, yeah, but .com isn't as trustworthy as .net.
Naturally.
Like,
Well,
.net
net is-
shows that you've got indie cred.
exactly.
Okay, so our first giant skeleton, Serpent Mound, Ohio, in the 1890s. Here's the skeleton.
Only in Ohio.
Okay.
Okay. All right. That's yeah.
But here's where you're. If you guys haven't noticed it yet, I'm going to point it out to you. This is where we're going to start to see problems with these ancient giant legends.
yeah.
This thing's only 7 feet tall.
Okay.
Okay.
So now, what
So now
quantifies a giant? Now we're at-
Exactly. Yeah.
what quantifies a giant. So my research, I was then like, okay, so if in the 1890s we counted a 7-foot tall skeleton as a giant, and if you Google ancient giant myths, like this all comes up, and people believe that these existed, and that this is being covered up by the Smithsonian. This one's 7'2". This one's 7'6".
Oh yeah, that
8
one's
feet.
realistic.
Yeah.
We're getting bigger. 8'1", 8'4". Okay, 9'2". But of course, we get this is where we get the photo evidence. It's in classic tabloid papers.
Right.
We have a nearly 10-foot, 12-foot skeleton, and the tallest one is an 18-foot skeleton.
Wow, that's a
Oh,
giant.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that leads to my next thought was, well, what counts as a giant? Because I think that's what we need to count for.
Right.
Because your
Right.
first version, Dan, was clouds in the distance. They made the mountains. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Hudson had
because
us
when
looking
you
up a
said
sleeping
giants,
lady.
my head was thinking, oh, like giants, not
Right.
this guy.
So, human height as tracked in our world is the next thing I went to.
Okay, excellent.
So then I also had to do a conversion chart because it's all in centimeters. But in 1896, your average male was only 162 centimeters. Okay. So
Okay.
162 centimeters, 2 feet. It's only 5'3".
Yeah.
So if I were to see a person that's 7 feet tall,
yeah, that would definitely be a
You'd be pretty
giant. That's 2
impressed.
feet
You'd be
taller
scared.
than you.
Yeah.
and now modern day, we're getting to 171 centimeters. So we're only here at 5'6" is the average male height. So Dan, we're gods.
And so
Sal's got me both
I
feet.
know, right? I just
Yeah.
want to, because
We're
I just
gods.
looked this up to relate to this. Andre the Giant is 7'4" to give
Right.
kind of perspective on.
And his name is Andre the Giant.
Exactly.
world's
Case
Well-
closed.
The world's tallest man was Robert Wadlow,
Oh yeah.
which is 8 feet 11 inches is how tall he was. He's the largest on record that we have.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, I'll be honest. Under the definition of what I originally thought giants were in this conversation, I was a complete skeptic. Under this of what they're actually showing, yeah, no, all of this actually makes perfect sense because there are occasional people who are very tall. People don't like when things like that happen, so they consider it to be a mythological something that's not normal. And so it would also be very rare to find these kind of things, because now I'm also wondering, like, how many things were the same on the opposite end of the spectrum with little people, of people thinking they were
Leprechauns
like
and
that's
stuff.
where the origin of
Right.
dwarves came from, was because there were people that were shorter versus people that are taller being giants.
I mean, if we put Hassan next to Sal, you're going to have a giant with a midget dwarf guy. Like,
Exactly. I mean, there you go, right there.
we just confirmed on that website that 5'9" is considered tall and above the average American.
Yeah.
And I knew you were gonna do this. I knew you were gonna turn this around on me.
I'm sorry that your entire staff of co-hosts is 6'1" or taller, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm handsome and I'm young and I'm brown. Just keep reading.
So, based on this information, I think the 18-foot skeleton's a little out there,
That's
and the 12-footer and the 10-footer, but everything else here.
I think the 10-footer is pretty reasonable.
Do you?
10 foot.
Yeah.
I will agree. That one is more reasonable than 18 feet. 18 feet sounds like people found two skeletons and kind of just pieced them together.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, isn't that what a lot of the old tabloids used to do? They would be like, we found a man with bat wings, and they just took
Yeah.
bat wings and put it on a man's skeleton.
Yes. Yes, that's right.
It's a
I mean, that's how we
Batman
got
costume.
that was how we got the first draft of dinosaurs. We were just like, oh, well, these bones are here and these bones are here. Slap them together. That's one dinosaur.
Yeah.
Oh my God, these lizards were crazy.
And also, back in this day, they would buy things like this. Like the Smithsonian, apparently, the San Diego Giant was purchased by the Smithsonian for $500, which is $14,000 in today money.
Yeah.
Wow. I went
So
to.
we need to go make up some fake giant skeletons, Hassan.
No, we
Clean
don't.
up.
We'll just get your skeleton, Benny. Okay, I went to the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum in what is it, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, recently, like a month ago or 2 months ago, and They had like the statue of Robert Woodall or whatever, where you could like stand next to it and things like that. They also had like shrunken heads and things like that, where they would basically scalp people and then shrink them down. And some of them were fake, and some of them were very real and still very much in circulation of like dealers and artifacts. I went down the rabbit hole of like learning more about it because it disturbed me to my core, because it's like, this is a real shrunken human being head. So yeah, in theory there's probably a lot of stuff that is fake and circling around, and they're never going to test it and whatnot, because in theory, if it is fake, you've just spent how much money on devaluing your collection?
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So here's the question. It's a little bit shorter of an episode because I kind of brought us to the conclusion. But do giants exist, Dan?
Yes.
Do
By
the
that
ancients-
definition, yes.
Yeah. Oh, we
The
got to know.
definition of a tall guy,
Right?
of the casual NBA player.
That's what I was saying. Imagine these ancient Native American tribes looking at the NBA today. You have giants everywhere.
Yeah.
How tall
they
is
eat?
it?
Actually,
Yao
I
Ming?
check
Is it Yao Ming, I
the
think?
comparison. I'm curious what the height differential would be for today's standards of what, like, if 7 feet tall was a giant back when 5'3" was average.
Yao
that's our
Ming is
proportion.
7'6".
What is it now? Is 7'6"? Oh no, that's
No,
Yao Ming.
Yao Ming. I think someone's
Yao
taller
Ming.
than Yao Ming in the NBA now, isn't
And
there?
Shaq is 7'1".
Good old Shaquille.
So we have 2 giants by those standards.
Yes.
Well,
Because yeah, when it comes to that, I will say giants of that definition do exist.
Ah, nice. Sal, have I turned you into a believer of an ancient giant race?
Right. No. There's like a giant by definition is like a human with superhuman dimensions.
Okay.
And these are not superhuman. In fact, most of them had like horrible deformities, or like they had Marfan syndrome or something. Like their organs detached from their bodies and they died. Like they did not live superhuman lives. They weren't gobbling villagers up and eating their bones. Have there ever in our history been people who were extraordinarily tall? Yeah, like today. Do we point at Shaq and go, it's a giant run? No. We go, he's really tall. It's a tall guy. It's a really big dick. And maybe somebody goes like, that's a giant. He's a giant. And it's like, that's kind of it. Like but
so when Hudson
only,
looks up to him, he's a giant. But
yeah,
you know,
absolutely. No, Hudson would point and run in the other direction. But
Shaq is a scary guy. It's not because he's tall.
He's a big man.
He's a physically imposing person. I don't know what you
imposing.
want from me.
Yeah.
I once saw a video of Shaq yelling at the Jonas Brothers from like behind, like where the paparazzi were. Shaq like walked up to where the paparazzi are at a red carpet. Hey, Nick Jonas, Joe Jonas, hey, and it was terrifying. It was like
Yeah.
a horrifying scenario.
they just fled. They ran into their limousine and they drove away. But no, there's no giants, man. I'm sorry. I mean, like, no. If anything, it's like deliberate obfuscation of reality, where they're like, "Look at these bones," and they're like, "You just put bones. That's nothing." Like, no. Or it's like it's exceptions to the rule, where it's people who were exceptionally tall,
right.
but they didn't like plague nations or
I mean, we have
children.
8-foot tall people. We have not 7-foot tall people now. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I would
And-
not put it against like, oh my God, look at this random person who's
right.
really
Also,
tall.
like we know things about nutrition today, so like we will produce a race of giants in like the next several generations because we have already. If the average height only like several generations ago was 5'5" or 5'3", and now the average height is slightly taller than that. Like we're trending
5'8".
up.
I'm giving it to Hudson. It's 5'8".
5'8". Like we're trending up, like, and we're going fast. So I can imagine the average height being one day like 6'2".
So like time travelers, everyone's saying time travelers from like 300 years coming back to now.
are gonna be like, "What's
They-
wrong?"
yeah, they'd be like, "Hello, little ones."
Yeah, they're gonna be monsters. We're gonna be like, ah! Like that's why we never actually found any time travelers. Is because we stoned them to death because we were so afraid of them.
All right, Hudson, where do you stand on the ancient giants argument?
Now, you've just spent this whole episode describing tall people, and obviously I think they exist, but I think that the greater mystery of the giant, it's to be discovered, but obviously they're real. They don't just make up myths.
Right. Yeah, myth by definition does not mean made up.
No, it means true and factual in history of another nation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe in giants and I believe in tall people.
And I believe in tall people.
We believe in you too.
Okay.
All right, guys, this has been another episode of Nope. If you want to join the conversation and keep us looking up some fun stuff that I bring to the guys, go on over to our Discord, the Absolutely Marvel NDC Discord, where you can go into the Nope tab and give me some missions and ideas. There's a whole bunch of great stuff you guys have put in there, which is how the show is continuing to go. Yeah, that's it. I got a few other things to promote, but we'll do that next time. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time right here.